Hey everyone! Welcome! Today we are going to be covering the content that released for Summer Pool Twilight. We do have some technical issues here. It seems that Erbie can't really hear me that well because of some sound issues. We did not have the time to troubleshoot this, unfortunately, so we will possibly be not as communicative as we can be, but let's do our best, is all I can say. But yeah, hopefully Erbie can hear me. Say hi, Erbie, if you can hear me.
Hello, yes, I'm hearing you.
Yeah?
Hello.
Kind of?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of a little bit, yes.
Alright, this is gonna be quite a show. But this should be a fast stream, so we can minimize the damage from this technical issue. We're going to hop right in very soon, but before any of that, I have committed to at least talking briefly about the recent issue with Habbit's recent controversy. If you don't know, please read my post on it. I made a whole summary on it, and Harvey Kai's also shared a post. Harvey Kai's a regular discussion member. Habbit has done not a very good thing towards its community, and now people are jumping ship from it. So just spreading awareness, and there you may want to reconsider playing their games and contributing to the culture. But yeah, for now, we'll just leave it at that. I'll talk about it more at the end if I feel like it. But yeah, this is the first time I'm doing any sort of public announcement like this, so let's just put that aside and get back to the promised content. Today, we're going to be starting off with the equips that had released. Starting off with the seasonal booster that released a little while ago, the Seal Booster. Have you heard all of that so far, Erbie? Maybe? Pretty please. Oh boy.
What weeklies? Sorry. It's very hard to hear this.
You may want to consider putting on
I'm trying to
a stream on the side or something.
But yeah, it was working fine yesterday. So I don't know what's up with this today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you may want to consider putting the stream on your side. I mean, the playback on your computer shouldn't be able to interfere with this, or rather, with your mic. Anyway, let me resume since you don't want to talk about this topic. Everybody seemed very opposed to this topic, but I think that's a pretty neat AR at least. This is the 8 Dog Warriors Seal Booster, equipable on the 8 Dog Warriors for the name, as well as the slash and slipe categories of weapon types. And it has 2 effects. One of them is a meta effect and the other is a battle effect. The battle effect is it bestows crits to allies adjacent at a after buff trigger at a shaky 40% rate. And the second effect is a 10% drop rate increase in guild membership seals when you begin the quest. So, my thoughts and recommendations for the script. Well, first off, just to let you know, the new maximum boost for the seal drop rate is going to be 50% now. This includes the 8 Dog Warriors seal booster presently here, but it also includes the Game Master seal booster, the Nakano Performing Academy seal booster, the Shinjuku Teacher's Anniversary equip, and a support equip that features either the 8 Dog Warriors or Game Masters or Nakano Academy Performing Arts one, because those ones are the 5-star ones that work in support, and each of them boost for 10% respectively. So be sure to bring a full set of those equips when you are farming for seals in either the Chapter 15 or the Chapter 16 seal farms. You may redeem this in Envari Shop, and this joins the ranks of a very strong local amp that you can get from Envari Shop. The other one being what's it called? The Game Master one, which bestows concentration, I believe, to allies that are nearby on phase start. And besides that, I do think you can combine this crit effect for the local amp with global amps also accessible from Another Shop, such as the Warmonger's Attack Up one, as well as combining it with personal amps for whoever is your primary damage dealer, such as the Summoner's Limit one and the Shinjuku Academy Brawn one. This equip isn't actually too reliable for farming, but it is quite accessible for challenges. It's not that it's a bad raid because an after buff trigger is quite exploitable. It's just that it's, not guaranteeable. So I would say equip this on units that are already exploiting the after buff trigger. The primo de facto example would be Masashi, who already has that after buff CP effect to both himself as well as allies. But there are a few other units such as Ark's Fantasy variant and Ziza's Sunshine variant who do have the after buff effect and can also equip this. But yeah, just use it in an after buff setup, which means you may want to bring it in a team that also has units that can give multiple one-turn buffs every turn, such as either of Bigfoot's cards. That is all my thoughts. Oh wait, there's one other thought on this. Supposedly, I can confirm this, there is a bug with this card right now, or at least the last I checked, maybe half a week ago, where if you finish a quest with this equip on a dog warrior that is not slasher snipe type, so for example Masanori, who is a dog warrior but is blow type, then what will happen is this card will be forcibly unequipped by the next battle. So that might have to do with some sort of erroneous implementation with the 8 dog warrior type. So keep that in mind if you're bringing this equip in your farms right now, because this is one of the boosters right now featured in the Summerpool Twilight reprint. But yeah, that is all my thoughts. Erbie?
Hello. Yes, I'm here. I don't have a lot of thoughts to this. I am still a very guild membership seal booster hater. Because I do not believe in farming guild membership seals, at least with the quest we have right now.
But like even with the boost, it's like the effect's good. Just like concentration's good. Come on, what the heck?
What's concentration like?
From the other seal booster, I mean.
I guess, yeah, but this one is... Yes, it's exploitable, but it's crit, it's to allies, and it's only 40%, so it's good for an after buff trigger, but come on, the fact that it doesn't apply to the actual unit is kind of...
I mean, the concentration doesn't apply to the actual unit either.
True. This is why all these ARs kind of suck.
They're not bad. What are you talking about? Whatever.
I know that this is probably one of the highest amps that you can give with an AR, but I'd say that if you're not actually farming for these guild membership seals, then there's a lot of other ways to get crit that do not rely on you wasting this AR slot on this particular
He says
AR.
wasting. What would you even put on that's better? Jeez.
I don't know, a lot of the other welfare ARs, instead of having to reroll for this crit.
I mean, it could be good for especially long phases, since a lot of those ones are limited duration, either phase or battle length. This one just lasts forever.
Yeah, you can use it on dungeons. No, don't do that.
Don't do that. Even I wouldn't say using dungeons cheese.
Don't do that. But yeah, the dungeons and survival quests are pretty much the only ones where that actually applies. So that's why I kind of don't really think it's very useful in any way, shape, or form. But it's still a powerful amp. It's just not particularly unique, reliable, or anything.
You're only saying this because you haven't fallen for how amazing after buff strats are yet, Erbie. When Jormungandr was right there, you could totally pair him up with him. So cool. I mean, he can't equip this, but after buff strats in general are cool.
He can, and even if you equipped it on an ally of him, he already has crit anyway. You're already rolling for his crit too.
True, but that doesn't change my stance that after buff strategies can be pretty silly and fun.
Yes. True.
Okay, we will move on to the next topic, but I'll just read out the chat briefly. Yo, Oddly Rival and T-Star, or Busta? I don't know how to pronounce that. Hello, Gazer and Dora and Yunchan. Finally caught it to AM stream. Is it really that late for you? Jesus. Well, thank you for taking that sacrifice, I suppose. Okay, we can continue on with, just realized my playlist is on shuffle. Alright. We can continue with the next equip, and Erbie will be covering these. Give me a sec to switch over. Starting with the 3-star Oz, Gorozaemon, Jormungandr one. Go ahead, whenever you're ready.
Okay. This AR is terrible, so to say. Like once I looked at the preview, I thought, wow, cool, another phase start CP AR. Like these usually give like 10 to 20 CP or something like that. But then you look at its effects and it's 3 to 6 CP and it's not even guaranteed. Like you get one copy of this AR and you're basically getting 3 CP, maybe at an 80% at phase start, which is essentially nothing. So right off the bat, it has one completely useless effect.
They're both useless. They're both useless. We're talking.
I was getting to that, okay. And then the other effect, it's just a tiny bit of extra damage against enemies with anchor, which almost never happens, or you're probably going to see it maybe. I don't know if high difficulty quest has a Smoky
unit
god or
bestows
something.
anchor on the enemy, and there's only like one other equip that does that, and it's a
It's
1.3
completely
times damage
pointless.
advantage. You're not gonna waste your time in 2 slots if it's doing that.
It's completely pointless. This AR was cooked before it came out, so
Okay, why don't
do
you
not
just talk
use
about
this.
Yes, that's my only comments on that too. Do not use this equip. Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on the art, at least?
I like that Mensuku was allowed to draw Jormungandr because he did do a lot of fan art for him when Housamo didn't exist yet during the FCARI era. So it's nice that they let him draw him again officially for the game. Gorozaemon looks surprisingly well, and Oz sure looks like Oz, I guess. No, it doesn't.
Right.
It looks a little bit weird, but
I mean,
that's
Oz
kind of
is-
expected.
Okay, I'm not. I really should talk this AR's art quite a bit, so I won't do it since you actually like this art. But I will say,
No, you're free to shit talk it. Like
Jormungandr looks good. It's just that everyone else looks absolutely terrible, and the lighting's not great either. Oz looks like he has fucking jaundice, and he's already yellow. So look at his original art. That is not the shade of like yellow orange. Like he has a perfectly fine reference there, and he doesn't use it. So I don't understand why he's off like this. And Gorozaemon kind of looks hella uncanny since, you know, they're skinny legends, so they kind of just like they are dipped in oil. Anyway, I don't like this art, but at least it's notable enough for me to comment on, unlike the previous one, which I actually forgot to comment on at all. And that one sure did feature
I forgot
Moritaka
about-
and
it was just Moritaka and
yeah, it sure is them.
they're sure there. I don't even know what they're doing, but they sure are doing.
It's probably,
something.
you know, Masashi being a damn brat and Moritaka getting upset about that or something. Kind of looked like that. Yeah, it's something like that. Okay, let's move on. Whatever.
Next.
Yeah, please cover the 4 stars, starting with the Smoky Yamasachihiko one.
Okay, this AR is just as bad. Okay, it has another phase start effect of restoring 400 HP to allies directly adjacent, but it's only 50%. It's only 400 HP, so completely unreliable and not a substantial amount at all. Like, it's nothing. And it has, when being hit, applies dazzle to units that hit the unit that has this equipped. So, but it's only at 20% at base, and it's going to be level 1 dazzle. So this is completely useless.
Yeah.
Actually, legitimately completely useless unless you, I'm not even going to say unless you max it, because even if you max it, you only get the 800 HP guaranteed and a 40% dazzle, which is less than a coin flip. So do not use this AR either.
Yeah, that's one thing I've written down for here. However, unlike the other one, which just doesn't have worthwhile effects, this one, like, in theory does the flip goes off, but you can replace them with free ones. You can replace, if you really want that dazzle, with immediate dazzle from the Guru's rank EXP booster, or the Nakano Performing Arts Academy seal booster. But, you know, Erbie wouldn't know because he didn't get that one.
Who would get that one?
Most
no,
people, but you,
fine.
I guess.
It's fine. It's all part of the sparking plan.
What are you even talking about? Whatever. Anyway, I will say though that this art probably, in my opinion, is the best in the entire batch, and is actually some of the best in the entire game. They really amped up the Riz game for both Smoky and Yamasachihiko, and I really like the lighting being both soft and natural. Well, not natural, but like clearly artificial, while also showing those like neon highlights. Very well done, and no one has like some sort of uncanny, that's not them, kind of artistic integrity. Everything just looks really good here, and flattered.
Yeah, unlike an AR that we're going to talk about later, but yeah, I kind of like almost all the ARs in this batch, to be honest, and this one is also pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, the first thing I thought when I saw them extending the hand was just them kind of asking me for my license and registration. Just very...
A bit. I mean, honestly, my one issue with this art is just that pose is kind of like overused with the handout thing, but
yes,
it's also potential for memes.
That's the only thing. But the rest is fine.
But it doesn't matter to me because they do it so well. It's like I don't know why. Like Smoky God is not like my type of like my body type or anything. But every time he has like some art and pose, he's always like doing 200% on it. So it's like he really is as charismatic as he is like in game in the lore. So it's kind of crazy.
His clothes are also peak as well, every time. So that also contributes to it.
It really does. And you know, this one wasn't even drawn by Mensuke, and apparently, like, I don't even like Mensuke's art as a whole, but like, even Smoky God was drawn with him, and so like, there's something about his entire aura that's just like, oh yeah, he probably gets like thousands of bitches a day or something. Anyway, I like this art. I like Smoky God. We can move on to the next one though. I don't actually get it for the kit. It might be good for a background though. All right, and we'll be talking about the next 4 story. This is going to be the Heracles Echo one. Yes, still you.
Okay, speaking of characters that don't look like who they are, we have Echo and Heracles. Heracles looks like Heracles, but Echo in that close-up shot doesn't really look like Echo, but let's go through the effects.
Yeah.
So another phase start effect. Wow. 3 in a row. And it's a CP to self at an underwhelming amount, and only 50%. I don't know why the ARs keep getting weaker, but sure. At least the gacha ones. This is almost nothing. It's only 50% of level 1, so completely unreliable. There's 3-star ARs with better phase start effects. Phase start increase CP effect, so not going to use it for this effect, but it does have a kind of okay effect. Like, it's very low percentage, but essentially, after hitting an enemy, it has a 15% chance of removing debuffs to allies left and right. I'm not going to say this is good, but it can be used on units that can hit the entire board for essentially re-rolling this remove debuff. So there is that, but it's still... There's a lot of other ways to remove debuffs. This is not unique. Do not use this. Again. But yeah, the art looks nice, except the first time I looked at it, I was like, what the fuck is Maria here?
I don't think it's Maria, but I also don't think it's like... I don't think it's anyone. I was just like, hey, are we having a crossover with Fire Emblem?
Oh my god, it is the Fire Emblem green-haired girl. I can't believe it.
Like, literally. But honestly, I can't even hate it, because even if it's like some complete stranger that's not in this game, like, it goes hard still, so I like it a lot, even if it's
still
not
a pretty
Echo.
Yeah. it's still a pretty AR.
And this is like one of the best composed equips, or arts rather. Like the last one, I just really done well with the lighting, but this one just like has some like a whole sort of positioning and close-ups that you really don't see unless like the artist really gets into it. So absolutely in love with the creative vision the artist did here.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. Like other than that fact that I couldn't tell it was Echo until I looked at the middle. I was like, oh, all right, this happened in the event. Yeah, it looks like a very pretty art that you can put on your home screen.
It's a time warp in another loop when Echo actually grows a bit taller than a midget.
Yes.
Okay, but yeah, the effect's decent for rerolling, as you said. It doesn't even have to be something like a board wiper. It can also be like a combo user, like in your laptop.
Yeah.
Or
PC magic range units are also fine, even if it's only 5. And he said it still should be good. And the restrictions are also pretty lenient. It's only the 3 basic pitch elements, so lots of units to use this with.
So there you go, the first good AR of this banner. Well,
no, it's not good.
Well, okay, it's okay. It's usable. The other ones like
it can be used. Yes, it can be used.
All right. You can read out the chat because I think that's pretty much it for your topics on the equips.
I don't know where we were at, but I'm going to assume it's high. My friend and my little bro. Oz after getting stung by a bee.
Oh
my god, I feel like I heard this one before.
Dipped in honey.
Gorozaemon is the only redeeming part of this AR. Jorm looks alright in Mensuke's style. Apparently there is some misinformation about AR Spark.
Okay.
I don't know what's that about.
It's not really misinformation, but it's more like wishful thinking. Someone was complaining earlier in the Discord channel. It's like, why does my summon points that I got from the AR banner not go to the transient summon too? Who did this?
That is delusional.
That is delusional. That's wishful thinking. That was never described to be like that. Like, what the heck?
That's completely delusional. And also, a good thing is that you can spark ARs for less currency. Actually, I think it's like 1,000 points or something, where you spark the. I don't know. I think it's half of 5-star.
The equips?
Cost.
I didn't actually check.
Yes.
I should check that later.
Yeah, they're apparently cheaper. I don't know how much by, but I saw someone posting that they were
Are they
cheaper.
actually? Well, if you had any doubt that equips were actually just objectively far inferior to get them transients, then there you go. There's now a numerical value to it.
Yes. I'm going to check it after this, but yeah, just to confirm it. But yeah, I'm going to continue reading. I spent an embarrassing number of AR tickets to get this one. Also, I prefer Echo drawn like this.
Yeah, honestly,
Okay,
it would have been nice for Echo to have like fuller cheeks rather than look like there's some brat from some elementary school or something. I don't know. Anyway, we can move on to the 5 stars. Thanks for covering all that, Erbie. All right.
No problem.
So, the good art keeps on continuing with the Smoky God Fuxi one. So, the Smoky God Fuxi AR is equipable on Fire, World, and Infinity units, as well as Fuxi and Smoky God themselves. It has an effect of 1, skill locking the enemy when you are hit at a 40% rate, and 2, applying a sort of added attack damage effect to the enemies, where if they are skill locked, they will take an additional 2,000 attack damage for every time they're hit. And that's for phase start, and lasts for 5 turns total. So, I framed it in that way by switching the effects listed, because this equip does not actually sound that good if you're focused on that attack damage effect, because that's honestly not that great of an attack damage effect for something that's kind of conditional at a low rate of skill lock. But I think you shouldn't be blinded by that. It's actually quite a powerful AR for the skill lock itself being at a pretty generous rate of 40%. Now anyone can just punish extremely effectively just by having this. And of course it'll just go on so many tanks. So many tanks would love to have this on. There's a Smoky Gods base version. There's a Matarasu. There's Fafnir. There's Onyankopon. These are all units that encrypted, by the way. There's Pazuzu. There's Haster's Snowland variant. There's Tianzin's base version. There's typically there's Oniwaka. There's Bartosius. There's Aizen. All the race version, by the way. There's Wakan Tonka Saturday variant. Sorry, Wakan Tonka Saturday variant. Gorpikuru's base version. Lave's Jurassic version. Horus, Human Kami, Oguchi Magmi, Ulan Bader, Isaac, Jormungandr, Vapula's idol variant, and Ahun Mazda. Like, there's so many units that would that are tanks that would love to have this stuff, either tanking or punishing, and this will in fact mean that it'll be an incredibly potent AR as long as you are also bringing it in the same team as someone who can enhance or increase the amount of times you can punish the enemy. So units like Gurungach or Hoover or Taunters or Pullers go well with this, so that you can coerce the enemy to hit you more. As for the art, Chef's Kiss, except for the background, which is a copy-paste from the end, which kind of
copy-paste background.
Fucking awful, because this is like otherwise one of the most animated scenes from like one of the more important parts of the main story, when like two world reps actually just kill each other. Like, that scene was totally legit, but the battle looked kind of goofy when they like imposed their rare art against each other and just slapped them together. But this looks a lot better. Absolutely,
yeah.
Love the dynamism.
The art looks okay, except I fucking hate Fuxi, so.
I mean, I don't like him too much either. I don't dislike him, but it's just, yeah.
It's fine. His expression also didn't help in the AR, but otherwise, if I ignore that, it's pretty fine. I like that they're making these moments in the main story into ARs. They should do this more often, because I don't think they do it enough.
I wish they'd retcon in the original story to add them too. So like,
I don't think that's ever going to happen, but we can hope.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of effects, I'm not as optimistic as you are. It's only 40% skill lock. Like,
it's skill lock though, right?
We could just bring Maria and get a 100%.
But then you'd have to bring Maria. But, right?
Like,
I've actually played with Maria recently to make footage for her and reviewed her. It's like, you know, besides that skill lock effect, she's still being hit a shit ton, and you know, then she kind of just dies. So she's not a great healer. So you're kind of exclusively bringing her for the skill lock.
I don't know. It's the 40%, man. It's just. Ugh.
I'm saying that it'll be good on a tank team that's already strong, unlike Maria. If you bring Maria in a tank team, then you could honestly just bring somewhere else, and it'll be better. But
I can say that if someone did max this AR, then my opinion would drastically change, because 80% is a lot. It's almost guaranteed, and it's just an AR. So yeah, this AR can be pretty strong. The 2k attack damage is completely worthless and irrelevant. Please remove that. That is not real, that's just spirit, but 2k, it's just tenacity strengthening. But from Tangaroa, except a little bit stronger.
Yeah, I fixated on that in the beginning. I was like, wow, this is a trashy art, but skill lock in some is good, so it's fine, I guess.
Yeah, also I checked the summon trading posts exchange, and yes, ARs are in fact 5-star ARs are half the cost of points, and 4 stars are like more like 2/3. It's not exactly 2/3.
Can you give the specific values in comparison?
For instance, a 5-star AR is 100 points, and a 5-star unit is 200 points.
Oh my god, I see.
It's a 100 points difference. And a 4-star unit is 100 points, and a 4-star AR is 70 points. So, yes, the 5-star ARs are much discount. Have a much bigger discount. So, definitely worth considering, I guess.
You heard it here.
If you care about ARs.
There's a quantifiable difference, a gender pay gap, if you will, between the equips and the units.
Yes,
they only get 70% represented.
Yes, you get a 50%. ARs are only 50% of a unit.
Can't believe that the men in the house are the units and the the women that are oppressed is the equips. The patriarchy is added again. Can't believe this. Okay. Anyways, let's move on to the final equip of this discussion. Oh, whoops. So we're back to mid-art. Now we're going to be talking with the both Vseslav, Yamasachihiko equip. With Yamasachihiko taking the same right side of the equip, except not looking quite as dapper. So this is an equipment that can be put on slash, thrust, and shot units, as well as Vseslav and Yamasachihiko themselves. This gives an advantage effect uniquely to any unit, to actually the entire team, as long as any unit equips this. And the one that is equipping this will be able to bestow that status to the enemy so that they can have, the rest of your team can have an advantage against it. What is that effect in particular, or the status rather? It's nourishment, which is a buff to the enemy. Kind of a weak one, so I guess it's good in this case. Be weak. But it is at a shaky rate of 50%. This is not really something you can take advantage of too well generally, though. I mean, slash and thrust and then shot units, right? So they're not going to be hitting most units, and that advantage effect only lasts for the first 4 turns. And nourishment is just not really a status that you can bestow on the enemy very easily, otherwise outside of this equip. I believe the only ones who can is going to be Festival Ryota when you move, as well as Perun, the board wiper. So I think Perun is probably the best partner with this. He can't equip this one, but again, as long as someone on the team has it, then Perun can benefit from it. But besides that, actually, I guess it's kind of a on point that Vseslav has put on the equip here, since he is kind of the servant and or, you know, working under Devon. But yeah, it's a very restrictive AR, unlike the previous one with the skill lock, which could be applied to like pretty much any tank setup to be extremely effective. This one is just kind of exclusively effective only if you bring Perun. I don't really see this being particularly great to bring otherwise. Unless you like having, you know, coin flipped 2 times rates at attacking enemies, which, you know, I guess that's fine too. But
or unless you max it.
Unless you max it, yes.
No one's gonna do it. But yeah.
Yeah, you can add on to it. That was pretty much all my thoughts.
Okay. I think the art's not bad, to be honest. I think all the arts in these ARs are pretty good. So
he says as he erases Fuxi and Oz and Gorozaemon from his mind.
It's fine because the other characters looked good.
Okay. The one does look good, admittedly, but like, come on, you cannot excuse Reshi's.
Okay.
I think the art here is decent. They're accurate enough, but I'm just not satisfied with the lighting here. This is supposed to be an outdoor night party lit by artificial lights and neon.
Yeah, and they're like, it does look like they're being lit by daylight or something like that. It's a little weird.
Yeah, pretty lazy, honestly. And, you know, they're doing the generic reach out pose, but they have less the risk because Smoky God is not pictured.
And also they're offering a cracker and whatever the fuck that
actually,
is.
That's not a romantic gesture. Hey, here's a cracker. Like, what is that? I don't know.
I mean, that's kind of... I can get it, but like, no. Like...
Yeah. And Volkh was just like not even interested. It's like, yeah, take a picture if you want. I don't fucking care. He's like, I'm done with the reaching out poses. I'm just gonna eat this. I guess.
The food frozen for this could have been a little better. That's all I'm gonna say. Like, I'd kind of expect things to be a little bit more extravagant, but this looks like normal food.
Yeah, I just realized like Volkh has like a plate of rice, but like, you know, he's holding it in one hand and he has a like steak / drumstick. I don't know what the fuck that is on his other hand. Like, is he gonna be grabbing rice with his hands or something? Sorry, I really shouldn't stop overthinking. This is a kind of a dumb AR. I don't like it.
Yes, let's not overthink it. Like, Yamasachihiko sure makes sense. You're supposed to eat that with your hands, but yes, now I can unsee that, Ara. What have you done?
I don't know. It's also not really a romantic thing to be giving me a cracker like, thanks, but I could have prepared that myself. It's not like I needed you to pick that up for me. It's not has your germs on it, but sure. Anyway, let me go read the chat if you have nothing else to add.
I have nothing.
He kind of really did add nothing when he came to the battle effects, huh?
The battle effects is kind of like, I think it's not that bad, to be honest. Like, sure, it's only 50%, but you can still work with it. Maybe if you combo with bullshit
combo,
like, or whatever.
Not the combo, just Fashion.
or if you max it, but like, no, all these ARs are kind of trash.
Yeah.
Never use any of these ARs.
Yeah, the last one wasn't that bad. Here's the tank energies.
No, I don't believe in it.
He refuses to believe in tank setups with skill lock. He refuses to believe in free crit at full level. This guy cannot be pleased.
Sorry. My standards are too high.
Sure. We're just on different planes of existence right now. Do you know what comic we are on last?
I think we were at, let's see.
Was it like...
Also, personally fair echo drawn like this, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. Alright, thanks. I didn't check, but I saw someone mention that 5-star ARs only take 100 summons. As we confirmed from Erbie, 5-star ARs do indeed only take 100, which is half of the 5-star unit, so very good. Brought to you by the artist who made Yig. I'm gonna guess they're talking about the Fuxi Smoky one. Yeah, that one went hard. Given how good Yig is, this is fantastic work. However, it does seem like the Yig does not know how to draw backgrounds, or at least the artist of Yig. It's fun to be Fuxi sibling. Cool art! It's technically 44% seal due to level 1 scaling, so a bit better than it seems. You hear that, Erbie? Owned.
Oh no, the 4%! I got owned by 4%! No!
So true.
Everything changed now.
Alright, Life Wonders needs to introduce scaling flat damage and remove all of these shit 1 or 2k static numbers. Scaling flat damage would be nice, honestly. We have one example of that, but it's literally still only one status that amplifies scaling damage, amplifies flat damage, and that would be the Kushi or Tenlos or Sphinx effect, which doubles dot damage or something like that. And it's only for dots. No actual effect damage is able to be scaled upwards yet. Yo, Xeno, welcome. You mistakenly read Nourishment Advantage as Nourishment Strengthening at first and thought, holy crap, free damage. Oh, if only. Nope, it is much more restrictive than you think. Despite this being looking at first appearance like one of those awesome, everyone gets a free 2x amp ARs. It's really not. Nourishment is quite restrictive to take advantage of in just any team. True, he should be spoon feeding instead. I mean, I don't know how I feel about that. It's giving baby play. Hey everyone, looks like cooked ham. The lighting kind of makes Yama look like raw chicken. Someone said that last time. Maybe it was you actually. But yeah, raw chicken. Kinda, yeah. Lamb. And lambs go to the slaughter. Alright, we are done talking about the equips. Thanks again for covering 3 of those, Erbie. We are now going to go to the units. Starting with the one who received the best one, obviously. Yamasachihiko. I'm already running out of breath from this. I'm tired of this topic already. Alright, let me reclaim my motivation. So, Yamasachihiko recently received an evolution where his CP bestowal rate to himself has increased by an additional 10% from 70 to 80%. His ardor has gone from at a self bestowal from after striking to before striking. It's still at an 80% rate. So now he can actually take advantage of that ardor effect, that extra damage himself on the same turn he gets it. And now he also bestows concentration instantly to the entire team on arrival. So everyone gets concentration for 1 turn at the beginning of battle. Kind of like the Typhon Evo. Or the Masanori, what's called, variant. He also can now bestow Glint to allies adjacent to him at a chance rate of 70% after each strike he does. And lastly, he can reapply Ardor to himself and allies encircling him at move phase end if his charge meter is full. So, what is unmodified in his roles first off the bat? Well, he is still a facilitator, kind of a minor one to be honest, but he does a bit of healing, very small amount every second turn. He does 400 HP healing to allies around him every turn start, and he can also apply some resistances at every phase start, also guaranteed at a fear resistance and with fear resistance and charm resistance, both himself and allies in the 3 square diamond radius. The rest of his roles have been modified though. To start off the bat, he is an improved, well, as I mentioned, he is an improved facilitator. He now has team activation rate up, when previously he only had the glint himself. Now he can increase the rate of his entire team. The concentration effect does only last for 1 turn, but it still can increase rates for 1 turn, I guess. And he can also continuously apply glint thereafter to his allies, so will be, I guess, a bit delayed, but whatever. After that, he has a slight improvement in his damage dealing and offensive support. He still has a... that concentration is nice, although keep in mind it's only for 1 turn for his entire team. In addition, he has that Ardor to himself every time he attacks, and now he can take advantage of that damage immediately. He also can reapply Ardor, so on when his charge meter is fully filled, which means that he won't be denied his Ardor on his charge in case, for example, he gets 100 CP but does not have Ardor up, since Ardor is normally bestowed whenever he attacks. And his allies can enjoy it too at that point. Let's see. And he can, I believe, bestow Ardor to allies as well when he attacks, just like himself, at 80%. Outside of that, he can get some additional damage from his moderate uptime charge, because he does have some team charge filling between his Ardor, if you want to consider that as part of his charge fill effects. And he can deal some additional damage on top of that with crit plus on his charge. He has weakness on the enemies within thrust range at move phase and at 90%. And he can do a bit of flat damage too for the enemy he hits, as well as any collaterals that are to the left and right of them. Wait, as I mentioned before, he was a moderate team charge filler. Let's talk a bit more about that. He had a recent improvements on his self charge filling by now being able to self-bestow Ardor, I guess, but at 100 CP. So this is both to himself as well as allies. He can self-bestow 10 CP every time he attacks, and to his allies he has Arousal whenever move phase end happens, and Ardor whenever he attacks, and 12 CP whenever he attacks, and 10 CP for every odd turn. So that's like a whole bunch of word salad. I'm sorry, maybe I could have summarized that better. But it's like really he's just kind of stands there doing minimal support for CP filling and like okay-ish low range damage. And this sort of evolution only really gives them slight improvements to both of those, while also giving like kind of a extension of effects to also applying to a weak-ish team rate up effect. Not my favorite unit, not my favorite Evo. Pretty damn weak, to be honest. But yeah, my recommendations overall would be you can only pretty much just use this unit as like a filler. Like you will never center a team around this guy, so he's kind of only going to be useful for skirmishing, because everything he does is low range and kind of sluggish, and but can be perpetuated throughout a phase for a long time. So use him for skirmishing as an offensive filler unit. There's like pretty much no other case you would want to use this unit. This footage I have of him right now took forever to prepare for him, because it's just like he fucking has no defenses, so he dies instantly all the time, and like his healing is like not sufficient either. His CP fill is like it's okay, but there are better units that can do it, and his rate up is obviously nothing to write home about either. And his damage is, while okay, is also quite low range, so that low range damage, while good, is only something you're going to really use during skirmishing. And let's see. You may also want to use them just as a direct counter towards whenever a Charm or Fear are threats in the board. But otherwise, I would actually, in a rare case here, say you should otherwise avoid using Yamasachihiko entirely, even post Evo. Can hop in right in Erbie whenever you want.
Okay. No, how else are we getting Ardor? Such a rare buff.
We can get it from Surtur, obviously. Valentine Surtur. Ooh.
But yeah, this AR, not this AR. This skill evolution is stinky. They did Yamasachihiko very dirty because they could have just fixed the Ardor bestowal, but instead they decided to add this effect when his CP is 100, which screams bare minimum effort to do anything.
I don't even think it, like, let's presuppose they fixed it. What would that even mean for them to fix it? It's fucking Ardor. Like, there's a highest rate enough. You want it to be guaranteed.
I know, but they could have made it guaranteed at least, and make it like change the trigger for like move phase end or something with no restriction.
Yeah, at this point, changing it entirely would be better.
This. Why would they need to add another way to give Ardor? It's not like him getting the swing Ardor is very important.
I mean, he does get his charge up decently fast, so I guess the idea is he can self-bestow and, you know, bestow to allies Ardor even when he has his charge up, before he couldn't. Which, you know, was a blind spot, which, I don't know, even if he can do that, it's still shit. It's like, you're doing skirmishing offensive damage, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I don't know why they don't try sometimes with some event 4 stars, and other times they just make Summer Oz. It's just I can't understand it, but yeah, it's definitely a really skill evolution. If you didn't use Yamasachihiko, you're not going to use him with this skill evolution either, because he didn't really get anything new outside of that 1 turn concentration, I guess. So
Glint and concentration. Wow.
No. Sorry. What if people want to use Duo? No one uses Duo.
Now they won't, because Yama's here to change the meta.
No, he's not. But yeah. He's still Yamasachihiko. Like, if you're using him, you're going to appreciate the very, very minor upgrade. If you didn't use him, you're not going to use him now either. But you will get 1 stone from the skill evolution quest. So, congrats.
Yama's dog shit, let's just be real. Alright, we can move on to the next topic, but let me just read up the chat and we can get out of here. Wait, did I talk twice in a row?
Yes,
I talked
you
about
did.
5 stars and I'm talking. Okay, I guess I just scheduled like that so that you can have Jormungandr at the end. Yeah, that makes sense. Alright. Awkward. Yo, Jackie Chun. Looks like cooked him. I already read that. That lighting kind of makes Yama look like raw chicken. I also read that. Chinya cooked something, but it was definitely not really good. Ardor Man does more Ardor. Yeah, he's definitely need more of that. Yo, Oskawate Memi. Yamasachihiko is trying to do many things, but it fails really hard. I don't think he's really doing many things either.
He's not doing enough.
He's not doing many things. The things he does do, he doesn't do very well. And it's just like the things he does do, even if he didn't do them well, aren't that great in the first place to be doing well in. But yeah, Lily Flunners definitely needs more Ardor bots. To be fair, it hasn't been that much of a problem lately with the Ardor spam, but it's, yeah, we're in no shortage of it. Summer Oz is just about bait to pull this banner, any banner when Summer Oz is and pull list. Yeah, literally, they toss an Oz whenever they don't know what to do for a pickup. He really just reprinted 2 months ago, if you guys don't remember the pickup, so that kind of made me doubt that Summer Pool Twilight was coming, but they do not give a shit about printing Oz right next to printing Oz yet again, so whatever. Yeah, we can move on now. Next off the bench.
Speaking of Oz, not the good version though. Regular Oz got regular Oz got another skill evolution. This one focuses a little bit more on adding a little bit more team support, I guess, since before this skill evolution, he was really just a selfish unit that didn't really do anything special except take hits and deal a little bit of damage in return and punish the enemies. But now he also has supportive effects, like his after move 400 HP heal now applies to allies instead of just himself. He also has new methods of preventing damage by giving himself protection when he moves. So now he has tenacity, protection, and he has another form of mitigating damage with this new skill evolution, which is when he's hit, he has a 50% chance of applying Dazzle to the units that hit him and the enemies near them. But this 50% it eventually turns into 100% if he got hit and got the Berserk strengthening that gives him 50% skill activation rate. So this Dazzle can become 100% as soon as after he gets hit for the first time. So now with all these defensive multipliers, Oz himself is actually pretty tanky. In spite of him, literally, when he came out, he would just instantly die because he just applied Berserk to himself, and whenever he did that, he just instantly kill himself. But now he actually has a lot of mitigation to help him up with that, so he can actually do his job of getting stronger when he gets hit, and then hitting back with some extra flat damage, and also a little. Even though he does have attack multipliers, his attack stat really isn't that high, so he's not really going to do a lot of damage, but he can still be pretty decent. He also bestows Glint after moving to himself and allies, yeah, that's pretty much the skill evolution. Everything else is pretty much the same. This was to make sure that he wasn't just a selfish unit. Now he's kind of like became this more. I don't know. I don't want to say he's kind of like the modern version of Aizen, but it kind of is feeling like that. Like he does deal some damage in return. Like he does heal and kind of protect his allies with the Dazzle. So you do, but he also can deal some significant damage with his combo and 5k HP after he gets his Berserk strengthening. So he's not a particularly good unit still, in my opinion, but he is a usable one that you can use as in skirmishes. Even though he does have all these defense multipliers, he is still a little weak on the defensive side. He can tank, but not as well as other defense-oriented tanks because of that Berserk multiplier. So keep that in mind. So yeah, if you did use Oz, you're going to be very, very happy for this. And if you tried to use him and you weren't getting any results because he would still die too fast, and you had no reason to move this unit, even though it provided no support to the rest of the team whatsoever, well, now he does provide a little bit of support by applying Dazzle and giving them Glint and healing them a little bit every time he moves. So now you may actually consider bringing this unit and actually moving them to get some measure of benefit from it. it's still a little unreliable because he still has to get hit once and to trigger his Berserk. So he's still not... The first hit is still not going to be affected by Dazzle. So you have to keep that in mind. He's going to be a little less tanky when he first gets hit. But after that, it's going to be smooth sailing, I'd say. I'd say it was probably one of the better skill evolutions in this batch, just because he already had another okay-ish skill evolution. He's definitely not a good unit, but you can definitely work around this. Unless Ara has something to say against it that made him take 10 hours to get footage of him doing anything.
What? No, I took footage fairly easy for Oz, unlike fucking Yama, who's literally trash. I
figured.
I'm just fighting chat right now because they're hating on my footage. Because it's like, apparently it's not so decisive because I'm not wiping everyone instantly. Like, I'm sorry I'm not using Kyoma every fucking footage. Jeez, I could do that, but then I wouldn't be able to showcasing Oz, don't you think? Like,
yeah, his damage is, even though he has all these amps, and he's still not going to deal a lot of damage, but it's still serviceable. Like, you can complement this to make him deal more damage pretty easily, and he also has the flat damage to show off as well, I'd imagine. So
I mean, I am complimenting him right now quite well, I believe, with Shiro, who has Curse to complement Oz's Dazzle and Protection and Tenacity, and can also provide Guts at kind of like a, because of his Evo, which is quite nice. Also, this quest just has like a bunch of gear, which, you know, Shiro can make good work of. I do want to say that Oz is definitely a lot better now. He's not like an amazing unit, but before he was kind of, you know, in theory he had a thing, but he was like unusable, right? You wouldn't actually ever use him. But now, like, Oz actually has a case of, you know, legit you wanting to use him. He's not going to be the best at everything, but he is technically a solo carry. He does have like a ridiculous amount of a damage mitigation for a 4-star that is like, you know, refreshable, and at least 2 of them are guaranteeable between Tenacity and Protection. Actually, they're already guaranteed out of the box, which is quite nice.
yes.
And, you know, he has Dazzle on top of that. I know the Berserk is, you know, kind of works against that, but that's just him working with the original part of this kit. But he really does stand as like a solo carry. Not everyone is as strong as like can go solo carry, but he is a solo carry, to be honest. He just takes a bunch of damage, and then once he takes that damage safely because of his defenses, he can, you know, slightly roll back that damage with his heal and continuing damage mitigation, while also punishing the enemy with both a flat damage and scaling damage. And he can even stall if he wants with oppression too. So it's like there's a lot going on here that implies, yes, he can solo carry with them. That's what I want to showcase here. I didn't make a team of 4 units because then it's just like you're gonna be using, like, moving Oz constantly, and most of the defenses are going to him, and it's like he already has quite a bit of strength and packed into his kit between Berserk and Brawn and even Vigor to allies. So that flat damage is good too. It's just kind of hard to see that without, you know, intentionally kind of butchering yourself and not just bringing a full team. But in essence, that's kind of what you do anyways whenever you do any kind of solo carry team. Even if you're bringing like someone like Kengo, just to showcase you can solo things, he still would be better if he just had a full team, right? Same thing for Oz here. Oz is obviously isn't strong as Kengo, but, you know, the fact that he, as a 4-star, can act as a solo carry is pretty impressive. So for those that don't have like quite an elaborate roster yet, I do think Oz, if you do happen to have them, would be pretty decent for you to get by if you don't have any other units built yet. He does quite a lot. I do like his kit. I probably won't build too much around him because I actually do have a pretty complete roster, but, you know, the kit consistency is there, the reliability is there, you know, the playstyle is like very clearly written down there, and, you know, the generalizability of where you can play with them is also there. I'm pretty happy with this Evo. It's just that if you have problems with him being good, it's more problems with the archetype than it is with, you know, him specifically.
Yeah, he is an okay unit. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not used to seeing units that are meant to be solo carries to also have at 4 stars self-healing, so that's pretty nice. That's why I kind of...
I get it. I mean, he's better also because, as you said, he's like works in the team now too, better. I mean,
yeah,
but, let's be real. He's still mostly a solo carry because he's not giving protection or tenacity to his team.
That's just kind of why I. That's kind of why I kind of made the comparison with the Aizen archetype, because yes, you bring Aizen, he protects your team with Dazzle, and he's going to tank hits, and he's going to hit back. To me, that's the Aizen archetype. It will never change.
It's kind of like that, but I don't think that's perfect analogy. Well, nothing ever is, I guess. Just because that Dazzle is kind of out of shape, right? So, it does get better after he gets hit, but for that first hit, Dazzle, it's not great, and it's not gonna protect everyone, only reduce the damage to those who happen to be nearby. So, I mean enemies, not even your allies at that point. It's not like giving a defense buff to your allies, which would have been a lot better and would have convinced me he's an Aizen archetype. But I see what you mean. He's definitely, around the range
Dazzle.
where you can kind of carry your entire team. You do have to...
Dazzle.
Yes, the Dazzle. And the Dazzle, oh yeah, he can also stall too quite well with that paralysis, or oppression, so it works out together. Anywho, I like Oz, especially after this event. He's a pretty cool guy. And I might use him in the future just for funsies, even if he's not a great unit. That's all my thoughts. If you want to read the chat, you can.
Okay, sure. Where were we again? Let's see. Summer Oz is just paid to pull on this banner whenever... Another skill evo. Yeah, he's still not good. Improve your team. Meanwhile, I was struggling in the recording.
What are you talking about?
You're being judged in your recordings. I can't believe this.
The fact that I'm able to do this with 2 4-stars by themselves should tell you it's a good team. It's like, well, it's not out of like, seriously, this is Oz we're talking about. Like, he's not like a ball.
Sorry, why are you not using Housamo with Oz?
Oh, my bad. Like, I guess I just need to work on my team building. Okay. You sure proved me wrong. God.
Okay. What do you mean? It showcases Oz well. Yes. If I made it better, Oz's contributions would be dwarfed.
See, even Erbie agrees. See?
I do actually, not just because I read it. Only thanks to the guts. Yeah, it showcases him well, but at what cost? Aizen's skill evolution when? Actually, he should get one. Like,
he should. That's why it's kind of mid-rate at this point. Yeah.
Guts thanks to Oz's glance.
Yes! I was thinking, how can I show it off? Ooh, he re-rolled Guts successfully several times. Thanks to Oz.
That glint is putting in work, I see. I have to check it later. True. Bring back the Snow Aizen meta. No, never bring that meta back again.
I kind of miss it, honestly. That skirmish meta, but... yeah. I wouldn't mind it, honestly.
That was not my intention now. I was just commenting that Oz would have lost without the guts.
That's why I brought Shiro in the first place for the guts.
But Oz is giving 4-star Summer Tindalos, if anything. I guess, yeah.
Maybe, no.
Maybe,
not really, no. He does not
can deal damage at least.
Yeah, well, doesn't Summer Tindalos boost his allies' damage by a ridiculous amount? Like, what does...
Yes, also as well, yeah. He has Vigor at 40% or 60% or something. Oz has Vigor, ooh.
Ooh, you proved me wrong. He really is Tindalos. Watch out, Tindalos, you got competition.
Oz would have been insane in Gen 1. Actually, yes.
Yeah, literally, yeah.
I mean, he's still not bad, considering we still get units like Inari this year.
Yeah, he's far better than Inari for sure.
I mean, Kengo Valentine was starting broken unit, and then he got Evo, and again became broken, and Oz was not good, and now he is okay-ish. Yeah, that's kind of true. he was pretty bad when he came out. He got an Evo and he got a little better, and now there's an actual argument that can be made for you to use him, maybe.
I'm gonna use him when I need to
he got an actual improvement. He got a bigger improvement than most of those units, if you consider the timeline.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
And that is all.
Aren't there a couple more?
Are there? I don't see any.
Luckily, I have all odds variants.
Oh, I had to check with. I had live chat on.
Yeah, definitely put on live chat always.
No, I was on live chat, but then I changed to the other one, to the main chat channel, and then the other ones appeared. Well, whatever. I'm just gonna keep going. Luckily, I have all Oz variants. Hope for next event. The board wipe. What do you mean? What happened here? The board wipe meta is no fun at all. At least we had to account for enemy attacks before.
Yeah, that was one of the plus sides of Snow Eyes and meta, so I don't know you're opposed to it.
Sorry, but this is all Leonan's fault, and you can thank her for this. Because she came out here with 3 attack buff pistols, and now everything had to be centered around a million attack buffs. We need new quests and units. We need to put a 10k damage cap on all range and remove Willy Wildcat from the game. Yes, actually.
Yeah.
No.
A damage cap would be a nice idea. One of many potential solutions that we have talked about countlessly, both here and in our server. But, you know, it'll be up to Life Wonders to
I don't
listen to
really
reasons.
like the idea of damage caps most of the times, because it kind of feels like a band-aid solution.
They can make it like a
Yeah,
specific...
these units are too powerful. Sorry, we have to put this band-aid here. Sorry, you cannot use this unit to its max potential.
It's fine. I know it seems like that, but there's always gonna be quests where they don't have that effect. It's just, as long as they don't do what's called that game that Sagas did, Dragalia Lost did, where they gave some enemies a buff and then they never removed that buff after. It's just, you know, scaling board wipes quests, you know, is fine for some of them, but it can't be applicable to all of them. So at least some of these quests need some sort of a restriction, whether it's like a damage limit per weapon type or some other solution. Many possible solutions, you know, something that kind of spreads the sort of a roster viability rather than just makes a certain key set of units always viable for every quest.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is getting a bit meta. Well, we can move on unless you want to read that last comment.
I think that's a more graceful solution than bloating enemy HP, since you won't invalidate dot effects.
Alright, that is an issue, huh?
Not the cap, but quests when you really new, like, huge damage for all turns and new survival quests.
Yeah, but a damage cap for at least survival quests would make sense. Anyway, we can move on to the next topic. Going to be Gorozaemon. And I'll be covering this. So, Gorozaemon received an evolution of a shaky appeal. It increases the range of their break from just directly attacking enemies after hitting to before hitting. So now they can take advantage of the damage themselves, and it also spreads to units behind their targets. So it can stall movements a bit further and increase damage for anyone in Gorozaemon's back row who can poke the back further. In addition, the fear spread for their attack is also spread to enemies that are on their flanks, or collaterals on the flanks of the enemies that they hit, rather. And they've gained one other move restriction effect, Madness, which, you know, kind of feels a bit redundant since they are breaking and fearing the enemy. But Madness does have an auxiliary effect on top of that. Madness does restrict the enemy's ability to move upwards and downwards, such that they can only move left and right, or at least it, you know, numerically reduces it anyways. And every time the enemies are attacked, Madness can will force the enemy to take additional attack damage on top of that. And lastly, they gained an additional defensive effect. Nullify debuff to self and allies every phase start. Nicely guaranteed. Actually, it's not guaranteed. At 90% rather. So, let us go talk about their unmodified roles, since it'll be important to see how it affects the rest, and talk about the changes too later. Gorozaemon is an effect reroller. They have combo built into their kit every time they move. So that will, help them reroll for Fear, or Break, or even Madness, or anything like that. Very good. And they can reposition the entire team with their extended movement, and they also resist Fear natively, such that any sort of a reflection of a Fear they will natively resist. Also, they can still, as per usual, fill up their allies' charge meter. Every time they move, they can bestow 10 CP to allies in a 3x to area behind them. And at % rate. So the new and modified rules for Gorozaemon is movement disruption. As I mentioned before, that break spread is now at an earlier timing, so they can take advantage of the damage. But more than that, it also spreads to enemies behind them, so the enemies behind can't move away or towards, or left or right or whatever. Fear has also spread its range to the collaterals, so they can in fact reach a long slash range sort of deal. And that Madness is still there to, kind of act as double insurance. Not only does it have that added attack damage effect whenever they're hit, but also it has the kind of coverage just in case the enemy resists Break or Fear, which are common statuses to resist, and really at least Fear is. And next off the bat is they have improved in their team tanking. So before they had tenacity as well as defense up to themselves and allies. Well, the defense up does not apply to himself, but whenever he moves, he can apply tenacity to himself and any allies that are directly behind him. And at defense up, with defense up, he can apply to allies every time he moves to the area behind him, and a much more generous 3x2 range. Now he can also apply Nullify debuff, as I mentioned before, to himself and allies encircling him. And the last part of his tanking utility is offering a bit of healing to both himself and allies. Reverse shot range on charge, which is definitely there. He does not actually build his own charge that fast, but the words toward that. And lastly, he has improved in their mixed damage dealing. They break the combatants. They apply break, as I mentioned before, which works towards the actual scaling damage they have now, and it can be taken advantage of immediately now with the Sivo. In addition, they have some attack damage, or added attack damage they can do to the enemy. It's essentially flat damage, but slightly different in that it can actually kill, unlike flat damage. So, in combination with Gorozaemon's effect rerolling, aka their combo every time they move, they're able to apply added attack damage with both Spirit and Madness. So Madness adds an additional 800 damage, and Spirit also adds an additional 800 damage every time the enemy is hit. And which means with combo, Gorozaemon can potentially deal a bit over 3,000 damage every time they attack an enemy, just in terms of what is added rather than what's scaled. And lastly, they are able to apply, or self-apply, crit whenever he does his charge. And that, I guess he can build his charge every time he moves. He gets a 16 CP, I believe. Is that right? Yeah, he does. They do. Pronouns. Gotta love him. But yeah, my recommendations for this unit are bring them with a backline snipe carries. Gorozaemon's not really gonna be killing units very quickly, but they can at least do a decent job protecting your team. And they can also be effective at stalling too with their movement disruption and tanking. So, they can stall, they can tank, they can move your team around to the right locations. But what they can't really do is kill personally that well effectively, even with their own break. They can assist with it, but ultimately you'll want units that are better in the back who can take advantage of their defenses while also contributing offensively and covering any blind spots that Gorozaemon may have, such as if there's a skill lock on board or something. But yeah, and that is all my thoughts on Gorozaemon.
That is a surprisingly number of thoughts to otherwise unit that didn't really change that much in terms of roles.
Yeah, it was mostly just giving thoughts of Gorozaemon as a whole. Might as well talk about him in whole. But yeah, they did not really change too much. But you know, I was just like,
still a tanky unit. That's.
I mean, I was able to use them effectively in Warmonger, so that's got to mean something. They're not as bad as I originally thought they were, but
I always thought they were pretty decent as a tanking unit because they had like 2 free defense buffs to their allies, so it's kind of like they gotta be good at something. Like it's 2 free defensive buffs, and they have their moving unit, but also they have increased horizontal movement, so it's also pretty good. But they also had ways to disrupt the team. Now they have even more ways of disrupting the enemy's movement.
Yeah.
And now they also have debuff cleansing as well to help in the tanking role. So not debuff cleansing, debuff prevention, but it's still pretty okay. Like this unit is not going to provide anything else other than defensive support, even though they did get that break. That increased break, it's not going to help a lot, at least not enough to justify saying that this unit can increase your team's potential damage. You know, this is a pure defensive unit through and through.
Well, defensive, but not just by damage, but also by like literally moving your units out of the way and in position. I feel like you need to lean into that to really make use of Gorozaemon's full kit. Otherwise, you kind of just like you could use a better purely defensive unit.
Pair your units to safety, stop the enemy units in their place, so that you can go to a better spot. That's how I imagine I'd use Gorozaemon, because I'm not using them.
Yeah. Anyways, I might use them in the future just because I was reminded that it's not so bad, especially with Evo that actually provide a tiny bit of debuff mitigation, which is, you know, it's not too common for tanks to have debuff mitigation too, or at least effective tanks to also have like some debuff mitigation. They usually kind of make them each exclusive, so you're forced to bring both of them. So that's nice. Gorozaemon has both.
It's a free unit, so you can get that crit CS to max, even though it's not going to deal a lot of damage. It can still considerably heal your allies, which is pretty well.
Yep,
it's kind of nice.
Okay.
No thoughts.
Gotcha. Right, I forgot I'm supposed to read the chat. I was like, Erbie, are you gonna read it? It's like
it's not my topic.
I know, and now I know anyways. I forgot. My bad. Let's see. Wow, there's only like 3 comments. I swear enemy units get the worst kits in the game. This isn't so bad. I mean, I know it's not fantastic, and it was kind of a bit simple even on release. This doesn't necessarily change that much, but at least they're not nutty, right? So, at least lore accurate. Gorozaemon is doing their job kind of good. Yeah, just like them leading the 1001, or the demons in the 1001 Knights in their Demon March Parade, they're able to kind of ferry around units in the back defensively, while spreading fear around to enemies in place. You may also want to use magic units instead, but you know, you get the idea of how to play with them in this kind of weird skirmishy kind of way. Anywho, that's it for Gorozaemon. We're now finally going to be talking about the star of the show, because obviously this evolution is just that busted. I mean, we'll talk about that.
Yes. Okay. Following that, we have Jormungandr's skill evolution, which also didn't really add all that much to the kit, just as Gorozaemon. But it did guarantee some things that weren't there before. It helped a lot with the rates. For starters, his if stationary bestowed tenacity to himself is now to also adjacent allies. So before he was pretty much a kind of was, I'm not going to say solo unit, but it's kind of like a selfish unit, so that only that only provided support to himself. Like he would steal HP and he'd tank the hits and then hit them back. Like his only measure of support. It was like kind of having this after buff CP effect that also a lot of units also had at the time. So now he can actually, on top of him tanking, he can also bestow a little bit of tanky to his allies, provided he stays stationary, and this is guaranteed, as it already was to himself. He also provides tenacity to all allies on phase start at 90%. It's not guaranteed, but it is guaranteeable. So even if you do move him into position or something like that, everyone will still get tenacity. He will still have wall and adamantine, so he still has 2 defensive buffs even if you move him. So it doesn't really matter that his tenacity doesn't trigger if you have to move him on the first turn, because he is still going to be decently tanky anyways. And his kind of bigger effects are later, which is he gets a when appearing wall strengthening effect that increases all his skill rates by 10% so long as he has wall. And this only lasts for 10 turns. Why? Nobody knows, but yes, we'll talk about that later. He also bestows Brawn to himself, which these 2 effects are pretty good in the sense that they will all, even though they're when appearing and non-refreshable, they will still trigger the after buff CP effect. So this will still contribute for that after buff CP. So these are another inescapable effects that will also help CP charge at the beginning of the battle. And now he can reapply wall so long as he is at 100 CP, which is actually pretty easy to get him at 100 CP. So you can actually maintain a 100% wall uptime with him now. It's not an amazing buff, but it is. It does last 6 turns. You can actually use wall for 6 turns instead of just the 5 turns now. So, and
okay, silver lining, I guess.
Very important. It's but yeah, it even though it's kind of a weaker defensive buff than all the other defensive buffs, it adds up with tenacity and the very limited 3-turn adamantine. So yeah, how does this 10% increase to skill rates change? Well, for starters, it makes his after buff CP bestowal effect able to be guaranteed. It was at 80%, now with skill seeds and this effect, it can be 100%, meaning that he has he has an actual 100% chance of bestowing 10 CP to himself and allies, so he's going to be charging really fast so long as he's provided with buffs that he already provides to himself very easily throughout his kit. So you're often going to see him even more often charging to 100 CP than before with this effect. This also improves all his other effects. It also makes it guaranteeable his after buff HP drain, which you might look at it and see it's just only 400 HP flat damage. It's only a 400 HP heal, but this effect stacks up. It's an after buff effect, meaning that after each buff and after each enemy, he's going to be healing himself for this much. Assuming he has 3 enemies on shot range, this can stack up a lot for each buff, and it's going to heal for a lot at a guaranteed rate. This also improves all his other effects, like his crit effect, his oppression, his pushback enemies, because a lot of his rates were very shaky. This will definitely improve him for the first 10 turns at least. And he is no longer as squishy past turn 5, since he can actually bestow wall. Well, in terms of how he plays, nothing really changed other than he can last longer now, since after 5 turns passed, most of his defensives were gone, and he was relying only on his stationary tenacity. So So other than that, he's now tankier. He now can provide some of his tankiness to his allies, which is probably, honestly, one of the most important ones in here, since you can't use him that well as a solo carry unit because you actually don't want him to move him around. So you do want to bring him with other units that can complement him and allow him to stay stationary. But yeah. At the end of the day, if you weren't using Jormungandr, you're still not going to use him either. He's primarily going to be used for these fast CP charging effects. If you really like bestowing a lot of buffs and getting your team entirely CP fueled, he's very, very easy to set up. One of the easiest ones, since he doesn't require movement or anything, and he's also already bestows tenacity to his allies, which can also trigger some funny chain reactions with after buff effects every turn on them. So yeah, he's been improved, but not enough. I feel like it would change his playstyle. He's definitely stronger for surviving and carrying fights and getting those massive heals off. And now he's going to get that CS even harder. He's going to also hit very much harder at the beginning of the battle with his brawn as well. But still, he's a unit that's supposed to be used for skirmishing. He can't really make it all that well beyond turn 10 still, unfortunately.
I mean, it's just 10%, right? It's not like he suddenly falls off significantly after first 10 turns.
No, it's big. It's not guaranteed anymore, even though you can reroll after buff effects.
But
so it's still pretty big.
I think the reliability or the extra reliability is good for farming, and if you're farming beyond 10 turns, then are you really farming? So I think it's more than fine. If anything, it's definitely, more generally applicable than Ulambadar's evolution. I'm not sure if you remember that, but he received a pretty similar one, where he had like a 2-turn rate up effect, whereas Jormungandra's is 10 turns. So it's nice to have, especially with that after buff effect. I mean, Ulambatar had it too, an after buff charge fill effect, which is why I'm comparing them. I do think this kind of encourages you even more, despite him being a skirmish unit, to just not move him ever. I know he has some move phase end effects with his damage, but like, it's probably just better if you don't move him at all, and this kind of reinforces that so that you can actually take advantage of the team tenacity and all that. I think as a result, he pairs really well with Onyankopon, so he doesn't really need to move and also apply damage to everyone else. He can just sit there menacingly, giving everyone defense buffs nearby, while getting board wide charges up because of Onyankopon, which he does build up very fast. And he can also build other people's charge in the meantime, including Onyankopon himself. And that board wide tenacity can be neat too if you decide to do what I'm doing in the footage right now, if you can see, with Virtual kind of flying around and like picking on enemies while like Jormungandr picks up his own thing with his own buddies. Because Yamasachihiko can still support Virtual with his board-wide tenacity. It is not just something that you will only enjoy the one very first turn or something like that, and definitely enjoy that throughout. But yeah, I would say just use him in this exact kind of setup where Jormungandr is in kind of like his own cell of charge fillers and you just don't touch them.
Honestly, what I like the most controversial take is that his wall is refreshable. It's very important.
It's like,
because like when I was trying to do these meme solo duo clears, it was always upset me that this fucking adamantine or wall would end up disappearing, and then suddenly I couldn't heal as fast as he'd take damage. So now I'm glad I can actually refresh one defensive buff.
it's 75% 25%. What the heck?
It can make all the difference, especially with all the healing. Like with a character like Jormungandr that heals so much, like just a little bit of defense matters. Can matter a lot.
Skill log? Getting crit at full levels? No thanks. Getting a 25% reduction in damage? Yes, please. More for me.
Exactly. Exactly. Now you get it. It's guaranteed at least.
Yeah. I mean, I like Yamasachihiko. I might use him more just because of this setup, which seems pretty cheeky. Just the charges at home while someone else just goes wild and moves around. But yeah, it's
so it's kind of not the skill evolution I kind of wanted. I kind of would have preferred that he'd got something like
Yamasachihiko's.
No. I'd kind of prefer like if he had like more consistent defensive buffs, like refreshable adamantine would have been nice, and also a bigger range to his after buff HP drain. That kind of I wouldn't say a Dagon tier HP drain because I feel like that would be too powerful, especially in an after buff effect. But like at least a pyramid effect would be nice. But this is serviceable too.
I mean, he already heals a shit ton with what he already has, even if it's limited range. It's fine.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Yeah. But mine is HP seeded, and it's very important that he gets all his HP back, and not just a little bit.
True. But yeah, Jormungandr might be more reliable for farming too. I think that's a more present point here, just because now you can reliably get charges. Charges.
There's a lot of guaranteed effects now too.
Someone mentioned in chat about well, you can read it yourself, but essentially, yeah, the reason why we don't really talk about charge fill as a a damage source is normally just because it's unreliable damage, right? But Jormungandr can make it more reliable, so in essence, you can start thinking of like charge teams in your regular farms. Now that an animation skip is here.
Thank God, animation skip was a blessing.
Yeah.
Even though it's kind of sad that we no longer see the cool animations that they're doing for these new units.
I do not fucking care of like shitty 2D sprites of moon and like confetti and like what is this trash? If anything, it makes the game look even cheaper than it already does. Like seriously.
It's funny, okay? But
Funny
yeah.
if it weren't so sad. Jeez. Okay.
Can I read the chat? Other than, I guess I can say Jormungandr hot. There you go.
Very true. Okay, you can read the chat. There's not too much though.
Finally, reapplyable wall.
Amazing.
The new mobs already have reapplyable wall.
Yeah, it's like I guess they don't choose to see the Ouroboros. Sorry, but Jormungandr is derivative and unoriginal. Throw him back in the drawing board.
What do you mean? No one is going to use Ouroboros. We have wall strengthening before wall bestowal. We already have wall bestowal. What do you mean? What a time to be alive. Isn't plus CP is a buff to damage? Because CS is still damage, and faster CS meaning more damage. Not directly buff to damage, but still kind of more damage. Kind of, yeah. Yes.
Any thoughts on that?
CS damage is more damage, yes.
Yeah.
At least most of the times. I think there was like some occasions where the CS was actually weaker. I think it was like one of the Otohime cards. I don't remember.
Ellie's. There you go.
Ellie's. I don't know.
Base Ellie's.
Oh, that's sad.
Because she applies
But also
cuts to the enemy.
I guess, yes. The guy, every few months I rediscover exists in the game. And that is all. Oh, never mind, there is more. To be honest, I never really consider CS when building my team. I should do that more often.
Yeah, I updated my evaluation format for my videos recently because I feel like I've always been too hard on charge fillers. the issue with describing charge filling and charge attacks in general in the team is just that none of it actually like directly counters a quest, right? There's no detection method for enemies or allies to see if they're being hit by a charge attack versus a regular attack, which means it's like charges are just like a guaranteed way to get normal effects, and there's a lot of normal effects in the base kits that you can already get, which is why charges technically aren't ever necessary. But they do kind of like strengthen your team in an intangible way that's quest independent. So I've modified my thing to be more reflective of that fact that you can build strength in a team that is independent of what the quest directly asks for.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
No more thoughts.
Gotcha. Let us head over to final thoughts. But yeah. So that is it for the Summer Pool Twilight discussion. As one more reminder, do not purchase Habbit Games, aka the developer of AnotherEidos. They are not cool. Go check out my community post for that. They did some scummy things towards core community members in their group that did not bother with, or that they did not communicate with their community members who volunteered to put in the help to actually share the love of the game. So kind of very spiteful from a developer, CEO to just, innocent little human beings that just wanted to enjoy their gay porn. Anyway, that aside, let's talk about this reprint as a whole, the story, the evolutions, the equips, and all of the above, and anything I haven't mentioned. Any thoughts on anything in particular among that list or anything else, Erbie?
Kind of underwhelming. ARs and skill evolutions. Like, some of them were okay in terms of skill evolutions. The ARs were all trash to me, honestly.
At least the art was nice.
In terms of effects, like, they were pretty. Like, at least there were no, dare I say, completely ugly ARs in the. Sorry,
but not everyone agrees with that assessment. Your selective blindness for Menske is like well noted by the community. Jeez. Sorry, I like Menske art. Okay, I am allowed to have different tastes. So, do you like Oz? Do you like Gorozaemon? Tell me with a straight face. You actually like how they're drawn.
I like how Gorozaemon is drawn. I can't say I like how Oz is drawn, but I don't care about Oz. I don't care. So yeah, that's 2 out of 3. That is the majority.
Oz and Zoe, I beg to differ.
No, they only count as half. That they're only one unit. It doesn't count.
Wow, look at this.
Doesn't count. Sorry.
That's awful. They take up
only half a person.
They take more than half of the AR art too. I kind of hate what they picked for the icon too. They picked like the ugliest one out of all of them, with like base Oz having like snot running down his nose and having surprise eyes. Like, why would you pick the most unflattering one out of the entire set? You could have picked Jormungandr or even like Zoe or something. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I kind of expected it to be Jormungandr since he's probably never going to get. Well, not probably. He's never going to get a voice AR because.
All right, that's the reason why he was shoved into a 3-star, despite him being obviously 5-star bait, because the voice actor is no longer with us.
Yeah, but probably that means that another 3-star Jorm AR is coming on the FKI rerun with his icon. That's what I think is going to happen. Hope or what I hope is going to happen. So
maybe
I'm not too sad about it.
I'm sad that Oz got dragged down though. Like, could Oz not have gotten like a higher rarity art? Why does he have to be forced to take this Menske mistreatment? Jesus Christ. And meanwhile, fucking Yamasachihiko got like 2 arts, and like Smoky got the 2. Like, bruh, what the fuck?
I'm sure Oz will get his chance later. Like, they clearly care about Oz, considering they gave him fucking 2 skill evolutions on his base. Well, we still have shit like Balthagor stinking up the pool after an entire year. So yeah, we'll probably see more Oz ARs for Oz fans, especially now that the rule makers are probably going to be more prominent in new events, and we're going to see them more often.
They already got two freaking things, like 2 main chapter events printed out. What do you mean rule makers are still going to be relevant? Also, Oz already had his relevance in this main story too.
Can I finish, please? Like,
okay, fine.
Usually, when the main chapter comes out, the main chapter comes out, they introduce a guild, and now after the MC and friends take down the guild or whatever, they solve their problems. After they solve their problems, the events that come after, like the actual events, not the main story, kind of start featuring those kinds of units. Like, as soon as we dealt with the rule makers last year, we started seeing Michael or Mikhail or whatever and Amaterasu on the summer host event immediately after. So so those units, rule makers, we're definitely going to see them more on events. They are releasing a lot more rule makers as well, as we see. So there are going to be a lot of opportunities for rule maker characters. So if you're a rule maker fan, you're in luck, because we're probably going to see a lot of them appear in future events. So that's kind of good.
Somehow the rule makers began to dwarf the size of the other 2 true guilds. Kind of funny. And Invaders has barely anyone. Like, bro. I mean, I guess no one likes Invaders to begin with. Whatever, we're past that era.
I mean, to be honest, the Invaders only had 3 units. Like, the rest were all temporary.
I'm slightly
temporary
worried.
Mugans and Shinya, which isn't really.
Okay, yeah, but that's why you add other units that aren't just Mugans, like rule makers did. Like, Jesus.
Sure. But at least the rule makers had a full set of representatives. The Invaders had 3, and that was it. Or no, 4 or something. I don't know. 4 real representatives.
Yeah. I'm a bit worried that they're gonna take their time.
And the first 2 disappeared on the chapter they appeared.
Oh, you mean Smoky and Fuxi?
Yes. So they didn't have much chance.
They're just doing their own thing, man. I don't know. I'm a bit worried about them being a bit sluggish with releasing variants for the rule makers, though. I mean, we're getting so many events where they're normalizing this fucking, Bathan / Hakumen / what's called Wakantanka variants, and now we have Chaldumbug and who's the other repeated one? Oh my god. Aegir, right. It's the rate of new variants for, the ones who were, predictably scheduled to be coming out now is falling behind because of these double variants. It's not like we're getting double the amount of events, so it is a bit alarming.
Yeah, I've thought about that since last year, and I hate it, but it's kind of the new thing. We get half variants that are double variants, and the other half are new variants. Kind of like how Valentine's was only new variants.
I thought it'd be fine if it was just for the really, really, really big names, but these side characters, fucking Aegir and Hakumen second main, it's okay, sure.
Aegir is pretty popular, but Hakumen, really?
Yeah.
I know there's Hakumen stands, and there might be Hakumen stands watching this stream, but there's not a lot of you, so.
I know there's a good amount of Aegir fans, but let's be real, Aegir has never played an important role in any story, including his debut one.
That's true.
It's very, yeah.
But neither any of these have shareable. One of our first double variants was Jiraiya, so we can't.
Oh yeah, I was what was
that.
up with that? I think that was just we don't have a new Menscape for you. Actually, wasn't what's called Hermes one? Actually, he's not. But whoever his artist was, that was just a nod towards that Jiraiya.
Now.
Now that's correct. You're right. Anyways, I'm looking forward to those rule makers variants for sure. There's quite a few I like, as a matter of fact, but we may have to wait a year or 2 at this rate.
I think it's going to come sooner than you'd expect. I think we're still going through the Invaders right now because it's delaying everything.
Yay, so, Invaders!
But I'm sure we'll reach entertainer tier and.
Alright, we still have to reach them. Oh my god.
Sorry, we still have to go through
the gurus too, and like wonder, like just heal me already, Jesus.
I'm sure rule makers will start appearing. Like they already appeared in Summer Host, so
look forward to it.
They're going to at least appear. So
12th anniversary, baby. They're gonna debut then.
Surely, but yeah, I would lose hope on it. Like, I would lose hope on like stuff like the warmongers that didn't get variants, like Avarga or whatever.
Isn't that peculiar? At some point, they might just like not even bother giving some people variants, like what's called duo syndrome. Something just like a bunch of people with it.
I think they're just holding off on duo because
I know, but you know what I mean. Just like someone from the beginning that hasn't received an evo. Like I'm expecting that to happen with it, not Ja, for example. Like they're not getting at this rate. Like
I don't think they're ever going to get a variant. Like who the fuck cares about them? I don't know. Who are the Naja stands? I'm sure there are some, but I'm not too hopeful for them and for Avarga and for whatever other.
I'm mad because I like Avarga more than Miniaki, and Miniaki got a variant. Goddamn.
Same. I kind of wanted an Avarga variant, but it's probably never going to happen.
Sorry, Erbie, we're too busy getting Ashi got a second variant, and
I'm hoping that that's not real. I'm manifesting that to not be real, please.
Yeah. As a reminder, that's not even just a pointless joke. That is actually what is predicted coming up for. What were the variants again discussed coming up for the next event? It was
D3.
Yeah, go on.
Volkh. I think Hermes. I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, that's right. And
Ashigara and Alberic.
Fucking Citri, really? I don't even. Whatever. I want to end this discussion. I'm done. I'm out of energy.
I did Citri only get the second variant because of Patheme? Who knows? We will see.
Every time I think of Citri, I'm just like, why do these fans get the pass? Like, literally some middle school kid who's pretty bratty. Whatever. Seriously. I can't stop thinking of like that fan art of him where they drew him like super obese. I was like, what is wrong with people?
No, not the inflation.
You know what I'm talking about, right? Yes, I swear to God. Why does this art exist?
Let's not, please.
Yeah. Okay, let's just close
I am disgusted too that we're getting 2 events in a row that have double variants, and they're probably going to be the 5 stars as well. But
yeah, those Invader and Gurus and Wonders variants are going to come, and then we'll have a big variants. But first, we need a bunch of second variants. Just wait, guys, it's going to happen. Oh my God.
Surely.
Okay.
I mean, Volkh is an Invader, so we are making progress.
True, not really. Where's my Walter variant? You cannot be skipping him because like, oh, we need to catch up with the rule. Because like, I waited patiently for Walter. Jesus Christ, why are you giving fucking Walk-On Tonka at like a second variant?
He's not real.
He's not more real than Walk-On Tonka. What are you talking about?
He's gone. He existed for 3 episodes. There you go. And then he was gone.
Fuck this game. Okay. Okay, anyways, that's it for our full thoughts on this banner. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it was just us two. It was gonna be like literally an impossible sell for me to get anyone to join this banner, this discussion rather. I'm surprised we managed to stretch it past it nearly 2 hours, so man, we really don't have to yap about literally nothing. Fucking millennial moment.
We're too busy talking about these solutions that changed the game forever.
It's the nuance between Ardor on move phase end versus Ardor before attacking. It's very important that everyone knows that.
Yes.
Okay, well, yeah, the next stream is... Oh my god, I'm finally done with my streams. There's no more streams for the Summer Pool Twilight. Look forward to the next content with regards to streams and all that for that next banner, which we were just hinting at. Otherwise, I'm still not fully decided if I want to make a video covering these units because the energy's just like... I've been streaming for 5 days, like, I need a break. I'll decide later. But yeah, thanks again, Erbie, for joining, especially you. All right.
I almost didn't make it, but I ended up fixing the sound too. So
Okay, so
we all at the beginning, so that's why I didn't have any issues later.
Yeah, I'm glad you were able to fix that perfectly on time. All right, let's just say our byes and push them on. All right, Erbie, on 3. 1, 2, 3. Bye.
Bye.